The Attorney General's office says they received numerous complaints against dealerships relating to consumer credit for the last 3 years. Complaints include non-delivery of services, running credit checks when told not to, and embellishing a consumer's income. Rosemary Shan is the president of Consumers for Auto Reliability and Safety, a consumer advocate organization. She says the Iowa complaints are common nationwide. Shan says the new Consumer Protection Agency might have stopped these kinds of practices.
The new agency would have been able to go in and police this and create a situation where when you go buy a car, you get a loan that actually bears a relationship to what you can afford and what the car is worth.
But John McElhaney disagrees. McElhaney owns a car dealership in Clinton and is the former chairman of the National Automobile Dealers Association. He says there are 25 to 30 million auto contracts written each year, so there are bound to be a few bad apples. Including his industry under the new law would have harmed both dealers and customers.
I mean, dealers would survive. It's not like they would put dealers out of business, but it'd be hurtful to the dealer in terms of his sales. But at the same time, it would be hurtful to the consumer. They would end up paying, on average, higher interest rates, higher payments.
It turns out dealers are not totally exempt from the new consumer protection legislation. They now fall under the enforcement of the Federal Trade Commission. Congress has given the FTC an expedited rulemaking authority, so what took 8 to 9 years to make a rule now takes just a year. The new FTC rules would govern the average $20 billion dealers earn from markups each year. Consumer advocates argue that the FTC will be ineffective in policing auto lending. They say that the agency is understaffed and most people with auto dealer problems don't usually complain to the FTC. But an Ames auto dealer doesn't see it that way. Doug Livey is the owner of Quality Motors of Ames and the president of the Independent Auto Dealers Association in Iowa. He says the FTC's new powers are a welcome change.
I guess I'm in favor of regulation to a certain degree, and I'm all in favor of protecting the consumer because being in the automobile business, I'm still a consumer of other goods. The rules are the rules, and the rules are there to protect people.
And Livey says while dealer lending practices have the potential to be abusive, it's because car dealers are the ones taking the biggest risks on lenders who can't obtain traditional financing. Consumer advocates say they hope auto dealers will be added to the law in the future. In the meantime, car buyers should look carefully before signing on the dotted line. Bill Brock is the director of the Consumer Protection Division for the Iowa Attorney General's office. He says that means checking for the best prices, the vehicle history, and financing options, and most of all, taking your time.
And if you get to the dealership and you're talking financing and all of a sudden something is suggested out of the blue you weren't thinking about including in the loan, ask for time to think about it.
And Brock says, come back later. Don't make that decision on the spur of the moment. Most car dealers will still be there later offering a car loan. In Des Moines, I'm Roland Maldonado, Iowa Public Radio News.